Well, hello, everyone. My name is Austin Savage. I am the managing director here at 95 Network. And this month, we are doing kind of a collection and a series of sharing stories of churches that we've had the opportunity to work with, either through our Healthy Steps Grant Initiative, through membership. They've gone through Vision Box. There's a variety of ways that we've partnered with churches. And so today, I am excited to introduce all of you to Joe Thompson, who is the lead pastor of Smithfield Christian Church in Smithfield, Virginia. We had the opportunity to get connected to their church. I think it was about a year ago,
Yeah, I think so.
Joe. And so since then, you're actually on what we call our core team, which is kind of a group of pastors who basically volunteer with 95 Network to help us get ideas and build community within membership. Really great group of pastors. And so, Joe, thank you for being willing to hop on here and share your story today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you asked me to be a part of it.
Yeah. So let's just start with your story. Go ahead and give us the overview, both of your story personally and the story of Smithfield Christian Church.
Yeah, so I've been in ministry, I guess, since 2002,
Okay.
and I spent 12 years doing student ministry at first, and served in up in the Richmond, Virginia area for
Yeah.
9 years, and then for about 3 years down in the Greenville, North Carolina area, and leading into most of that time, I thought I was gonna be one of those lifers. People would ask me, how long are you gonna do youth ministry? I was like, man, until I die.
Right.
But then, kind of towards the end of those years, it just became real obvious that God was kind of
Hmm.
shifting my heart and my gifts and things like that. And I began to look, and there was a church that they went through the church here. Smithfield Christian went through a weird transition. Their lead minister, he actually passed away while serving here,
Wow.
and so it opened up an opening here, and they were for about a year actually without a lead
Hmm.
minister, and so another organization stepped in to help them.
Yeah.
And I have some friends that are a part of the leadership of that, and they knew I was looking, and they knew the need here, and so they brought us together like that. But it's interesting because this was the kind of church that at first I really would not have thought, that I would ever
Yeah.
be a part of. The first church I worked with was about a church of 1,000. The second
Okay.
church I worked with was about, I don't know, about 300 or 400 people.
Yeah.
So the coming to a church at the time of about 50 people was a
It's a
big
big
step.
transition. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I would often think about, man, my first youth group was bigger than the entire church. And
Yeah.
so that was a big transition for me, but also a big transition of going from the roles, of being just on staff of student minister to the lead pastor.
Yeah.
That was a huge thing for me.
Hmm.
And so because of that, stepping into that role, I was really doing my best just to try and soak up uh, information and get as many resources as possible, trying to at least pretend like I knew what I was doing. Um,
Right.
like we all, I do, I think, every single week.
Oh, absolutely.
So, I was just constantly, and I'm still kind of always on the lookout for different resources.
Hmm.
And when I first got here, it was kind of a very typical church of a lot of older generation
Yeah.
members and stuff like that, and and nothing that's unique for us, but it's real typical when you have a younger minister. You begin to see younger families come in, and
Right.
so we've seen that over the past few years. I've been here for 5 years now, and
Okay.
God's blessed us in many ways. We still have all the normal struggles that
Hmm.
you and I were talking about just before this,
Yes.
that small
Yeah.
churches see, and but we also have some of the great joys that small churches see
Mm.
of being very relational.
Yeah.
Our church really is a church family. We just had a guy move back to Arizona from here, military family. We have a lot of military turnover
Okay.
in this area here. And he shared with us, he said, this has been the hardest church for us to leave because it's such a family. And I think we get to have that blessing of being a smaller church.
Yeah.
But so our church has been around since about the 60s. And kind of recently we've been I would call us a church in transition of
Okay.
changing over from a lot of kind of typical older ways of doing things, and to hopefully seeing how God's leading in some new ways
Yeah.
and moving us forward. So yeah.
So you and I met, I believe it was on a phone call about a year
hmm
ago. So how did you get connected to 95 Network?
Well, I think it actually was indirectly through the Unstuck group,
Okay.
and we were looking into the Unstuck consulting and stuff like that. And like I said, we're a church in transition, and so we were
Hmm.
kind of trying to figure out what to do, how to move through this, and
Yeah.
it's kind of daunting. And so it didn't work out for us to do the consulting through the Unstuck
Right.
group, but it was interesting. They Tony Morgan offers a course that you can do,
Yeah.
and don't take this personally, but I think the way we actually got connected with the 95 network was that I
You could get it
saw that,
free.
yes, we saw I could get it for free. I was like, man, not only could I
Yeah.
get it for free, but I could also be a part of the 95 network, whatever the 95 network was. I had no
Right.
clue.
Yeah.
But so we did that, and really it's been awesome to be a part of the group. And I've even been telling some other ministry friends of mine. I'm a part of what's called a fusion group, and
Okay.
I meet with some other ministers once a month and for
Yeah.
lunch, and we talk about stuff going on in our ministries and resources. And right away I was like, you guys need to check this out, this is crazy, I
Hmm.
had no idea about this. And so it's been
Yeah.
a great thing to be able to share around with other churches as well.
That's funny though. Yeah. Well, honestly, and for those of you who don't know what he's talking about, so the Unstuck group has a course and they gave it to us. It's worth, I think they charge like $500 for it or something
Yeah.
like that. And it's free inside of our membership because they donated it to us for all of our pastors who are part of membership. And so it's a great resource. It is a great draw to membership, and it's something it's worth a lot. And so it's a really cool
Yeah.
resource that we have there. But so that's okay. So that's how you got connected to 95 Network. Since you've been part of membership and have been, part of the conversations that we're having within, our membership group and using some of the resources that we have available, what has been kind of some key takeaways, or what has been your perspective of the ministry of 95 Network through that facet?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that, especially being in a small church, like right now, I'm at my office at the church building. I'm the
Yeah.
only one here. And
Right.
a lot of times that's how it is with smaller churches. We have one other part-time staff, and then we have some administrative volunteers. But for the most part, I'm here by myself. And
Yeah.
to be able to connect with other ministers, but also be able to connect with like you and Dale, is a great encouragement. And
Mhm.
there's also something about connecting with other ministers and other people who understand small church ministry. I remember when I first came into the church here, it it kind of bugged me that there was nothing for small church. And it
Yeah.
was weird because I would always hear these organizations talk about how the majority of churches in America were small churches,
Yep.
but everything out there was for like churches of 500 or 1,000
Right.
or even more. And I was just thinking,
Mhm.
well, then why isn't there anything for that? And so I was hungry for that,
Yeah.
and so it's been great to have those connections with
Yeah.
other guys, but also with you guys, and even like with Dale. I think it was like a month ago, I shot him an email with a question about, hey, we're wrestling through this. Give me your thoughts on this.
Hmm.
So he sent back an email shortly after that with just kind of some brief thoughts, but then also a link and said, here's my schedule. Pick a
Yeah.
time. Let's make a phone call and let's talk through this. And so we got to talk for about half an hour on the subject
Hmm.
of him kind of, not a generic answer, then really kind of, okay, explain this. How does this work within your context? And kind
Yeah.
of get more specific on there, which is a huge thing of being able to, everybody can read a book and read an article, but when you can talk through how this actually plays out in our
Mhm.
context, that really
It's
is
huge.
a big blessing. Yeah. To be able to
Yeah.
kind of really make it personal and really dig down into there.
Yeah. So last question for you. You
Mhm.
mentioned you're a church in transition and you guys are really kind of just figuring out, what things are going to look like moving forward. And so specifically with both the course that you got access to through membership and through the relationships that we've built, uh, how do you feel like those things have helped you gain clarity for where you're headed?
Yeah, it's again, it's one of those things of getting real specific with it, with the kind of the personal coaching of it. We Up to that point, a lot of the things that we were doing were kind of basing off of books and things like that. But to be
Hmm.
able to have the kind of the personal connection and talk through some of those specific things
Okay.
of how they actually play out within our church. We've talked about, I think I'd share with either maybe in our core team
Yeah.
call one time that we are we had set out a 5-year goal or a 5-year vision for our church, and it was good to be able to then talk through some of those elements with
Yeah.
Dale about it, because it's easy to kind of put a goal or a picture or a number up
Hmm.
on the wall or whatever, and it's good to be able to have books to be able to kind of have some best practices, but again, to be able to then say, but how is this going to actually be within your
Yes.
church? That was really big, and also, and even to have, to know that there's going to be somebody that a month, a year later is going to remember that and
Right.
ask about that and
Keep you
follow up
accountable.
with that.
Hmm.
Exactly. Instead of it just being on us. Because I don't know if everybody else is this way. I'm this way where the ideas, the new idea, and I'll
Right.
run off and it's like, oh yeah, a year ago we said we were going to do something else.
Hmm.
And it's good to have somebody who is, not necessarily on you about it, but checking in and encouraging you,
Yeah.
because sometimes those ideas flop too, and it's good
Hmm.
to have somebody to be able to kind of come
Yeah.
alongside and say it's okay. Let's kind of
Right.
step back and re-examine this. So yeah,
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you, Joe, for being willing to share some of your story.
yeah,
We
definitely.
yeah, and we for those of you who are watching this, we really want to share these stories to just highlight some of what we're doing here at 95 Network. It's easy for us to just kind of like get caught up in the day to day of
Mm,
what we're doing, and we don't take the time to kind of share about this because as we've been doing this series, we're really highlighting this because we're looking for people who believe in this mission, who believe
mm,
in what we're doing to resource small churches. I've said it on previous videos, but our ministry, it's completely funded by people who believe in what we're doing. That's all that keeps us sustained. And so if you're just captured by Joe's story or any of the other stories we've shared, we would love it if you'd be willing to join us on this journey of helping small churches as we approach this new year. We have a lot of expectations for what's ahead, but we can't do it without the support of those who stand with us in this mission. And so, Joe, thank you for being willing to share your story today. Really appreciate it.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you.